The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The headlines in the West are bleeding today. They are calling Burkina Faso a closed society. They are mourning the loss of 600 organizations as if the sky is falling. But they aren't telling you the truth. They aren't telling you that are all in all the savior, the protector, the unifier, the messiah, the king of kings, the most loved. Captain Ibrahim Traore has just dismantled a massive foreign-funded intelligence network that has been operating right under our noses. This isn't just about paperwork or registration laws. It is about identifying a Trojan horse that has been parked in the heart of the Sahel for 30 good years. Yes, 30 good years. We have to ask the hard questions that we know the international media is too afraid to ask or will never even touch on. Why is it that as the number of NGOs in the Sahel increases, our security only decreases? Why is it that when our soldiers are on the front lines, struggling and bleeding to take back our sovereignty, these human rights groups are nowhere to be found until it is time for them to accuse our military of excesses? The connection is clear, and it is a cycle of betrayal. It starts with a wire transfer from a Western capital to a local NGO. These people live in our neighborhoods. They speak our own languages. Some of them are our brothers who are brainwashed, but their loyalty belongs to the hand that feeds them. They are paid to find or invent the narrative that feeds the Western agenda.
When we give you the number of associations, and in Burkina Faso, you are stunned. You wonder what these associations do, what are these NGOs doing? We have associations, NGOs, whose source of funding is unknown, whose activity programs are unknown. We are going to put an end to this. Each NGO must work transparently. No association is going to be a three-horse for anyone. So the reform is underway. All associations and NGOs must return to register and within the rules that have been defined so that we can be sure that everyone is working for the good of Burkina Faso. Today, we have toxic imperialist partners that we have chased out of Burkina Faso, says so. But when you look at it, we chase them out the door, but it is through the window that they continue their manipulation and subversion. You know, when you receive some partners, the other ones will fight to ensure that this or that NGO is not to be touched. Well, why do you fight for an NGO that comes for our happiness? Because that is the principle. When we come now, it is to do good for Burkina Faso and so on. To go and sell the misery of Burkina Faso elsewhere. To recover resources. To manage them without the state. For on about. We have civic associations that are there and that work properly. And that work properly. We will be able to work without any problem with the reform. But the reform is underway. We are going to Sahel. You've read the statement from the Minister of State for Territorial Administration about these dissolved associations. It doesn't mean the state dissolved these associations due to non-compliance with certain obligations. They are deemed dissolved, as if they no longer existed. The receipts are no longer up to date. The bodies have never been renewed. So according to the texts, these associations are dying of their own death. We hear the Jeremiah internationally, it will not entertain us. You will see other measures in the coming days. Still, concerning the COs, there are very relevant concerns that have been raised. In particular, the granting of support credits to young people and women. The question of resettling internally displaced persons, as well as consultation with the defense and security forces, and road problems. So all these issues are at the heart of the action of the Progressive People's Revolution. But what we are saying is that we need to create a fair and equitable distribution of poverties. You see what you call a young person, you give them 50,000 francs, 100,000 francs, 100,000 francs, anything, you hope that it will change their life. It is not possible. Let's avoid making numbers. Our young people need to learn to come together, to be strong together. Together, they need to be relevant to provide solutions in their community. The state is ready to support us. You are witnessing the restructuring of the funds. We have gone from 14 to 4 large funds. This is because there was a scattering of funds. When you take the loans that will never repay from the old funds that will never be able to recover. And this is the large proportion. And so today we have restructured funds. There is the FBDS Toro, which currently has great capacity to support projects that will change the lives of young people and women, provided that they are projects built on a strategic and sustainable vision. So we are not going to make figures. It's useless to come here next year bragging about granting 3,000 or 4,000 loans. But when you go into the field, you will see that there are no concrete results. Particular emphasis will be placed on the processing sector and the rural production sector. Both, the state will longer finance import-export. I prefer to be clear, we will not be taking the country's money to give to a young person to buy something. Look, I'm not going to name any country. And then come sell in Burkina Faso. No. You're going to finance this. We want to produce in Burkina Faso as a priority. We want to process Burkina Faso products. We want to distribute Burkina Faso products. That is the orientation that will guide government action. Import-export has never developed a country. What sustainably develops a country is to consolidate the production sector, consolidate the processing sector, consolidate the distribution and consumption sectors. So that is the main focus today that will need to be integrated into any project that wants to have substantial support.
They document civilian harm by our own revolutionary leaders, but they stay silent when the Tigrus bend down our glacenaries. Once that report is written, the machinery of the West goes into overdrive. The reports are handed over to the media houses, the ones our government have wisely started to kick out. The media screams authoritarianism. Yes, because they no longer have the voice to do what they want in Africa. The diplomatic mission then take that screen to the United Nations and the World Bank to justify sanctions. This is the golden chain. They use our own people to write the script that is used to starve our children, that is used to plunder, that is used to loot us. It is a closed loop designed to keep the Sahel in a state of permanent instability and the whole of Africa. As the elder says, a guest who stays too long start to count the host ghost. These NGOs have been counting our goals for too long. Look at the numbers in Niger alone. 3,000 of these organizations. In Burkina Faso, we have over 1,000. For a region that the West calls poor, we seem to have a lot of foreign money flowing in, but only for reports, never for refineries, for protection, only for monitoring, never for manufacturing. These organizations are nothing more than imperialists, and that is the reason to which we are seeing these our leaders taking them out, because they see them as imperialist laboratories. They are test site for how to destabilize a government without firing a single bullet. The alliance of the AES has finally called their bluff. They realize that a nation cannot be sovereign if its civil society is owned by the people who wants to control its minerals. You cannot fight a war on the front lines while a fifth column is working behind your back to undermine your legitimacy. By dissolving these groups, the AES is saying that if you want to help the people of Burkina Faso, you will do it through the right channels, through the right institutions, on our terms, and with transparency that we can see. Because we need to know who the sponsors are. We need to know who is doing what. And not for you to just come, sit in your air condition and decide what you think should be done. The West calls this a crackdown, but we call it a cleanup. They say we are closing the door on the world. We say we are finally locking the door against thieves. Ibrahim Traoré Assimi and General Abdurrahmane Tchiani are just not leaders. They are architects of a new African doctrine. They are proving that they can close the media door, you can close the banking door, and you can certainly close the NGO door without the world ending. In fact, that is when the real work of nation building begins. We are entering into a new era. The days where an NGO worker just could sit in an office and determine the fate of an African president are over. The days when a human rights report was more powerful than the will of the people are finished. We are reclaiming our sovereignty, our narrative. We are reclaiming our space. And most importantly, we are reclaiming our dignity. Let the West cry out about their civil space. We are busy building a sovereign home. A home that tells the story of the African. A home that fits our narrative. A home that we are in charge and not being controlled by other people. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.